Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
And welcome to another edition of Live at Lunch, live at Modesto. Modesto on Burbank. We are right by the original one. It's kind of a Burbank swing, I guess, huh? Today at Modesto, tomorrow at Walk-On. So, keep it all in the family, Make all the easy trips when Charlie's on vacation, huh? Throw some sand on him, Huh? Isn't that the best, bro? I love the beach, but I can't stand the sand. Well, brothers.
I've never heard anything like that before in my life.
Stick around. He's full of all kinds of shenanigans. So
you might well wear some swamp boots.
He likes to park it like on the balcony and enjoy the breeze,
the scenery.
Yeah, and, or by the pool and stuff. But,
yeah, I think the pool would be really, really better for him because I know Charlie don't like to get up and go get his own cocktails either.
Well, he'd rather not.
He'd rather not.
Yes,
I would rather not.
Yes, I guess so all of us would. Yes, yeah.
The pool is essential.
Yes, Yes. He is. He gravitates to a tiki bar.
That's right.
Yes, he loves those umbrella drinks, man.
That's right.
Yes, indeed,
That's
man.
Right. He deserves it.
Oh, yes,
he deserves it, Coach.
Yeah, give me one. Pour it in a gutted pineapple or something.
Or coconut or something.
Yeah, coconut. There you go. It's always festive over here at Modesto. Tacos, tequila, whiskey, our great Taco Tuesday that we have every Tuesday. But man, a little bit of everything, and the Go Eats family that includes Izzo's, Lit, Roca, and now over here at Modesto, and we just. No, best like the last year or so. It's been complete for about 6 months now. I know I came to the gymnastics senior night post party that was here at Modesto. So they have the new sort of dining area. So they've expanded over here. So things are going good over here at Modesto. So, we're watching Wimbledon. So I fired in on Andreeva over the night. She went down in flames today. 7-6, 7-6. Andreeva, she had a winning record against Sabalenka, who's the number one, and who will be playing tomorrow morning in the semifinals. But and then Iga Swiatek, who advanced for the first time with all of her championships. I don't know, she got about 5 of them, I think, but has never advanced to the Wimbledon semifinals. This is her weakest surface. Well, she did it today in straight sets, and part of the draw opening up with all the upsets, allowing an easier path, but also she's getting her swag back a little bit. Man, she was hitting it from both sides, extending points. She's popping at serve close to 120, and she is now going to take on the girl that beat Andreeva. So anyway, Shelton, big serve, American, and he relies on that serve a lot, and well, that's what we have. So the first set was 12 for 12 service holds. The second set is 7 for 7 service holds. So they are on serve. He lost the first set tiebreaker 7-2 to Sinner, and I had to jump on Sinner because at plus 360. Man, he wasn't. You couldn't get 360 before the tournament started. So now he's deeper in the scare where he got a break. There's no doubt, but you get that break. Is it a sign that he's not playing well, poor form, or is it kind of hey, it's the next stage completely different, and that's what I'm banking on taking that price on Yannick Sinner. Rohan, you commented on Shelton, said he was 6'4", reason that. He is a really good athlete, an impressive-looking athlete.
Yeah.
And he, most American players are playing football or basketball.
Yeah.
Or baseball that, look like him. But his dad, who played at Georgia Tech and is a coach, and it was a coach at Florida, right, more and more you get in some of the better players that are playing college tennis, so he played there as well. But he's got a chance. He's just got to Now, the other guys say, well, he looked like String Bean. He's, he's deceptively athletic maybe, but him coming up, Yannick Sinner was a prodigy skier. He was a lock solid. The Italian said he is going to be the gold medal skier, and he flipped to tennis kind of in his early teens or preteens, and so he's the number one player in the world. So just doesn't look. Shelton, you can tell he's an athlete just looking at him. Sinner, it just looks like not a whole lot of money, but he's deceptively athletic. Yeah,
he is deceptively athletic. This was my first time actually watching him, and you can see the difference in the American. But from Sinner, what you see is, I don't know if it's experience, but what you see is great anticipation. It's great anticipation of where Shelton's going to place the ball. Shelton's just a doggone freak, man.
Yeah. Djokovic is up a break in the first set over Caboli out of Italy as well. I mean, these Italians are on a little bit of a roll right now in tennis, and it starts with Yannick Sinner. But Shelton holds, so they're at 4-all. We'll keep you updated as we go. But who can bust up another Sinner and Alcaraz final? We do see Sinner, Max, here favoring his elbow a little bit and his wrist. But are we going to get a repeat from the French Open final? Or Sinner looks like he's showing some vulnerability here.
Yeah, that's the chalk. Sinner would get Djokovic, right, if he wins this. So that's a little bit less of a easy path for him than Alcaraz has. So I don't know right now. I mean, looking at it, Sinner has had one break opportunity this entire match. So Shelton's been dominant with his serve.
One break point?
Yeah, one break point opportunity.
Oh, okay.
And, Shelton has two of them. So actually Shelton's been closer to breaking serve than Yannick Sinner does, but he is up a break after winning the tiebreak in the first set 7-2. So we'll see how this goes. But Shelton is holding his own, and maybe if he extends the match, the younger, fresher legs will keep him alive. That
left-handed, quick, fiery, strong serve that Shelton brings is pressure.
He's probably got the best serve on the tour
that
right
is
now.
Pressure. Then with that left hand that's spinning so hard to get to it, that's pressure.
It's trickier coming from the left side as well. All right, let's transition to something that we're more familiar with, and
especially me.
Yes, indeed, college football. And so the Big 12 Media Days are happening at Frisco. My podcast partner on the Bet Rivers broadcast, Paul Stone, is in Frisco, Texas, and he's talking about the palatials. He says it's fancy. It is really fancy, and you hear some of the typical stuff. But the things that are really interesting, so they're talking about this new collective, or so everybody says, sort of basically a payroll budget, Rohan, for their players that's coming up in college football. And he said that what they're promising some of the recruits, there's no way they're going to be able to stay within that range. Really? The sport that was built on cheating. I mean, people are fudging a little bit. People are going, really?
It's funny though how in an NIL era where you're on top of the table now with the money, we still got to go back under a little bit.
You're going to have to. Yes.
We still got to go back under because what's happening is you're over-promising. You're over-promising. In sales, Jim, what they always tell you, to under-promise and over-deliver, right?
Yes,
well, in this case with these guys, you're promising these guys a 4-year, whatever it is, $5 million deal, 1.3 a year, whatever it is. And now you're getting into where, hey, it's like a cap. There's a total cap being put on what we can dish out equally or not so equally to these guys on the roster now. And if I'm, the offensive lineman, right, and I see this, I'm a little pissed because our offensive line don't get as much green as, say, your star quarterback, your star running back, your star wide receiver. But where does it start? It starts down there with those guys. Mm-hmm. And credit to Nuss, man. Nuss knows and understands that, so he take care of his guys up front. But when you go back and now you got to go under the table to give these guys and to keep them where you promised them to be, we're just going backwards, baby.
It's
We're just going
you're
backwards.
always going to have people trying to gain an advantage. There's no ethics in recruiting.
Oh, hell
I
no.
mean, and that's what I'm just trying to, kind of sitting here thinking like, okay, yeah, everybody's going to, and the coach is like, I thought we're all going to play by the same rules.
Oh, hell
I mean,
no.
it's just
the bigger
not good.
programs with the bigger
That's
money
right.
gonna be in the same game they were before it got on top of the table. Yeah, I can offer you this, and this is what it looks good at. This is what the numbers look good at for the media, for whoever's checking this. But when it comes to it, everybody has that donor in their pocket, man, or whoever that's willing to go above and beyond to slide it under the table for so you get that top recruit, so you keep that top recruit, whatever, so you get in the transfer portal, whatever it is. It goes back to that because winning, and the money that comes with winning means a whole lot more to a whole lot more people than having moral and ethics.
Yeah. So speaking of a big time commitment, Micah played at U High, the number 1 overall prospect in the state. Lamar Brown is expected to announce very soon. So
A big fella.
I watched him play a couple of. Very, very light on his feet. He looks almost streamlined, a little thin. I'm sure he will put on some weight a little bit. He's projected to play on the defensive side. But he can. He is.
First time I seen that kid play was 7-on-7. You remember
what?
He
was play. How many interior linemen have played?
Not many, man.
Yeah. He is light on his feet.
He
man.
is, man. I saw this was probably about 5 years ago, and he was playing for the Naturals out of Thibodeau, and we played him in a tournament. And I was like, "Who the hell is this kid? And why is he playing wide receiver? As a tight end position?" But great talent. Had an opportunity to work him out a couple times when he was young, wanting to play tight end. Just a great kid, man. Great kid, good family. Heck of a work ethic from a kid that young. Who is it down to? LSU and who?
So it will be down to LSU, Texas A&M, Miami, and Texas. USC was in there as well. From what I understand, that sometimes the local kids, the local school may try and get a hometown discount, and so this is a legitimate hardship situation with the family, and so they've got to make that. And it's a top 10 player you're offering, so it's, and I think that the hometown team has got in the neighborhood where they need to go. Yeah. I'm not saying they're matching, but they're in the neighborhood, so that's kind of where we are right now. So he's taking all his trips. From what I understand, at LSU and A&M are the favorites. Yeah, but I mean, if LSU A&M gets close, I feel good about LSU's chances.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of them kids that you can't let him leave the state. He's one of them kids that you got to try to secure cornerstone piece. The upside for him is crazy. And now you pair him along with the kid that's coming out of, Carr. That's a whole nother different story. So you have to secure Lamar, whatever position you want him to play. You said D-line, he'd be on that side of the ball. And whatever, in some cases, man, you got to, like you say, get in the ballpark, but get close. Get really, really, really close. Because, with kids like that, they dream about going to LSU their entire life, but then when it gets down to, especially where we are now and in the day and age of NIL, the business side of it really, at the end of recruiting, is where the business side of it come in at. And now you're not selecting with your heart at that point. You're selecting with, okay, who has the better package together for me? And to your point, if it's close, now your heart comes into it. But if it's not close,
right?
I'm going with what's going to financially secure my family.
Max, what you got?
Well, we did just see Ben Shelton drop the second set.
First break point that he faced the entire set, he gets broken, and so that was on set.
It was the second one.
Oh, the second one, okay.
He had one earlier in the previous game, but
So now Center's up 2 sets to 0.
2 sets to love. That's a tough ask for Shelton at this point. But,
so 6-4 in the second set.
And I will say we started this with Brett Yarmark. It's Big 12 Media Days. I will say just looking at the Big 12 this year, they return a lot of starters, a whole lot of their best teams. Arizona State's got a lot of starters.
At least Gadaboo, but have everybody else, basically.
Levitt, the quarterback. Same thing for Baylor. They return Sawyer Robertson.
Aranda said this was his best roster he's had. Hold that thought. We're going to take a timeout. We'll come back and talk some football and look at the Big 12 for a little bit there. Big 12 Media Days does conclude today. Paul Stone will be with us tomorrow as we will have a report and sort of some predictions and maybe some future picks from the Big 12 as well. Big Dog Randy McKay is with us at the bottom of the hour. We're breaking down the Los Angeles Chargers today since that was one of our picks yesterday by Andy Isco. So we'll break down Jim Harbaugh in his second year with the Chargers. Scott Rabelais at his usual slot. He's back from vacation. We'll talk to him at noon. Wes Reynolds with his golf breakdown, the Scottish Open. And, yes, our consensus golf picks just missed. 75, 85 to 1?
75 to 1, I believe.
Emiliano Grillo just missed. We're at Modesto. Modesto tacos like the chicken plancha, the chicken adobado, the carne asada, the birria, smoked brisket, al pastor. We go on and on. Fish tacos, Cabo shrimp. We got the sandwiches as well over here. You talk about delicious. The tortas are the Spanish sandwiches over here. Is that right? You know a little bit about tortas, huh?
I do. Being from Miami, you know that, baby.
Yes, indeed.
Of course.
Yes, indeed. So a little bit of everything, the salad, soups, it's all fresh over here, and a great happy hour each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tuesday through Friday. We're closed on Mondays here at Modesto. Modesto at Burbank. It's raining now here in the capital city. Boy, good thing Junior got that grass done this morning.
That's it. The back.
The back and the side. I took care of the front. Yeah. Wherever you can see, I got it.
That's right.
Yep. You just stay in your lane, boy.
That's right.
Yes, yeah, I'm not letting him touch it. But I have to when I go on vacation. I just pray when I get back it's just not all burnt up and we'll see.
Lines all over, look like a checkerboard.
Yeah, look like Neyland Stadium, son. End zone.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. We're live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we're back over here at Modesto. Let's talk a little bit of Big 12 football. It's the last day of the Big 12 football media days in Frisco, as it's that time of the year. Of course, SEC in Atlanta next week, so we'll have a lot of coverage from there. We're not making the trip, but we will be here certainly. Glued in. Speaking of Lamar Brown, just wanted to pass that along tomorrow. It's at 12:15. ESPN2. You don't have to try and stream or things like that. ESPN2 will have live coverage of his commitment over at the school, just around the corner from where we are here at Modesto. Phil Steele's magazine is out, and here he's got sort of 3 tiers of the Big 12. Max, I have to ask you, how many teams in the Big 12 right now? I mean.
16.
16, okay.
30 cents.
It used to be, 12. But, okay, so top 8, Baylor, Utah, Iowa State. I'm a little surprised they didn't have Kansas State and Arizona State in there, but I haven't dissected the schedule that much. We talked about Dave Aranda. He's in a little trouble and turned it around, and he said this is his – including the team that won the Big 12 championship. Yeah. Remember that goal line stance? Oklahoma State had the ball, first and goal at the 2. Mississippi State quarterback Blake Shapen was on fire in the first half of that game, cooled off in the second half, but completed like his first 18 passes in that game. But they hold on to win. He said this team is better. We know about Whittingham's. Is he back this year?
He's still there.
He is still there because there was a lot that was supposed to make, a lot of people thought it would be his last year. The quarterback's gone.
Finally.
He retired from football.
Dampier.
And in Iowa State, another coach at Campbell, we talk about a lot. He's very respected. I mean, when you can win at Ames, that's tough to do. But he's not as the flavor of the month like he used to be, being talked about every every opening, the big openings that are open. Arizona State, Kansas State, Texas Tech in the second tier. TCU, BYU. Coach Prime's team is not in here. We know about the big losses with Shador and Travis Hunter, but
they had a lot of guys get drafted though.
They did. Besides
that, yeah, wide receivers, DB, his son on the other side, a defensive lineman. They had a bunch of guys leave.
Max, some of the points you wanted to make about your initial findings on here?
Just that this whole conference, especially the top half that you mentioned earlier, they return a lot of starters, and a lot of them are not transfers either. They're guys who have been there already. I mean, Arizona State's one of them. You mentioned, they lose Scadaboo, but 17 returning starters. I mean, that's quite a bit. 10 defensive players returning from last year. Iowa State returns 14, including their quarterback. Baylor returns 13, including their quarterback. Texas Tech has their quarterback, Baron Morton, who's been there a long time at this point. One of the rare
including specialists in these numbers.
No, this is offense and defense.
Okay.
So I mean, they've got a lot of returning guys, and they did add some starters from other programs as well. So I just look at the top half of this conference, and Brett Yormark mentioned that he thinks they're going to be a multi-bid league this year. I think there's an outside chance that actually happens. Iowa State was close last year. If they would have won their conference championship game, ended up losing to Arizona State. But with the quarterback play that's returning in this conference, I think a team like Baylor, a team like Texas Tech is very interesting to me.
Those guys did a good job of what we always talked about now in the NIL era, with you pointing out so many returners, Jimmy, in that top.
Are we going to see this number slow down a little bit? Is this a little bit of a mark, or is this just an outlier here as far as the kids jumping? Because,
they did a good job of just recruiting their guys, getting their guys to come back. And I think that's where you will see the better teams once you get into this thing and get the rolling, because you got to get that continuity. They've already built that if you got that many guys returning. So you're going to start out with some confidence, team going good. You're not trying to wonder about what you have, coming into the first game if you're those teams on top like that. It's the same thing that they pointed out, pointed out when the NIL started is you're going to have to recruit your guys, get them back, when especially retaining your quarterback, bringing back 17 starters. That's big.
I liked Levitt a lot. It seems like this Dillingham at Arizona State is it just seems the less you were, the less time that you were involved in the old rules, it seems to be easier for those to adapt.
Agreed.
For obvious reasons.
Agreed.
And I mean, he's as young as it gets, man, and he had that success, and they were well coached. They're well coached, and I like his quarterback. He can make some plays with his feet, but he also can make throws from the pocket. I mean, we know the toughest ones to be settled in the pocket are the most athletic ones, because it takes no timing, takes nothing. And the guy that is on the top of that list, if we talk about this conference, is their 1-5 star. The one guy they shoved, basically kind of eased on out to Columbus, Ohio, and got the national championship in Will Howard. But it's Avery Johnson, who's happy feet, and he can make some throws at times, but he makes some really bad throws and some really poor decisions. If he can fine-tune it, settle down and become more developed, kind of the Kansas State's Lagway. Mm-hmm. How we had on, Brian yesterday, he says, man, he made some bad interceptions against Tulane, and so we know he's got some of the intangibles, and I think, Avery Johnson is kind of like that as well. But it's time for him to be more consistent as a passer.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, he's got Dylan Edwards coming back, too, at running back. I know they lose DJ Giddens, but he was promising a little bit. He projects to be one of the top running backs this season. So he's got a running game to go along with him. But, yeah, Baylor's the interesting one, They've been an offensive team the last few years. They have Dave Aranda, but their offense has carried their weight.
Their defense was bad.
Yeah. We saw it in the bowl game. Yeah. It was LSU named their score against Baylor, and granted, there's the bowl games are different. But
I know, but how many did they have? A lot of guys that weren't playing in that game because
LSU
that did not. I mean, Nussmeier, it was like men and boys, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a different level.
Baylor was favored in the game. I mean,
LSU had a lot of guys out. It was, they had more incentive. I mean, they're more excited about playing LSU than LSU is playing Baylor. I get that, and we see that happen a lot of time. The more motivated team in the bowl games, have some success. But that was weak personnel-wise defensively for Baylor that I saw in that game.
And I love right out of the gate, Friday night in week 1, they host Auburn.
Yeah.
That's a big game, especially for Auburn, who's already a little bit upset with their situation right now. And Hugh Freeze.
Speaking of recruiting in Auburn, have you seen their rankings currently right now?
Not great.
It's like 85th or something.
Hugh Freeze is at the golf course. He's not recruiting.
Oh, really?
Apparently, that's what.
Oh, really?
Ole Miss. I'm blanking on.
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin stirred the pot a little bit this week on Twitter. Said, "Shout out to your golf game." He posted an old picture. Hugh Freeze posted on Twitter. He won some golf tournament. He's like, "Way to go, coach!"
He's such a strange bird, basically borderline social irritant. That Lane
troll,
Kiffin.
bro.
Yes, he is.
He's the biggest
he's one
troll,
of
bro.
But his personality comes out.
No doubt.
You know.
Listen, I like Lane.
Lane,
I think he's a heck of an offensive-minded coach.
He is.
I think he knows. I think he's one of the coaches that has tried to change and turn with the times of what's
Are they going to
going on.
reload this year, though? Because last year they had it. Last year they couldn't. There ain't many teams that could beat Georgia the way they beat Georgia last year.
Right.
Like Austin Simmons.
But like when I tell Mincy, once runts, always runs. I mean, they get in a fight with Kentucky and they poo-poo on themselves. I mean, my goodness. Legacy title, Chad Reynolds, the legacy title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Bonham-Donald, Mariana Broussard-Hayes, Adrian Reese-Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060. Djokovic is all tied up, 6-all in the tiebreaker. So 6-all in games, 6-all in points in the first set tiebreaker. Center up 2-0 on serve in the third against Shelton. Live at lunch, live at Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out of nowhere.
It's time for the big dog, Randy McKay, with his best picks.
Big dog, what's happening, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well here, just getting through the dog days of summer up here in North Dakota, and I got going to a rock concert this weekend, going to see the band Tesla.
Okay, all right. I mean, I'm sure you bought some, I don't know, dancing squirrel, dancing mockingbird, stream or something. You got something working in the outdoors up there, man. Some kind of stuff. Enjoying the outdoors in the Dakota area this time of the month. The Chargers. Let's talk about. Let's break them down today and look at them. Jim Harbaugh, year one, got to the playoffs, 11-6. In year one, the runner-up to the Kansas City, finished ahead of Denver, another playoff team, and we start the 28-1 to win the whole thing, the Super Bowl. You have Justin Herbert in now his 6th season. We know about him; he's got all the ability in the world, but kind of leaves you wanting a little more sometimes. Certainly, we wanted a lot more than that playoff performance down in Houston with the 4 interceptions and. How many pick sixes? 1 or 2 in that game as well. They're plus 310, third choice to win the division. Kansas City, they've won it a gazillion times in a row. But Kansas City minus 120. Denver second choice at 300. The Chargers at plus 310. The win total is 9.5. Man, I like the over there, but 11-6 last year, 9.5. And then the schedule. I would have to say the AFC. The AFC West is only maybe behind the NFC North. With an improved Raiders team, you would have to think, and we know the other teams are very good as well. And then you matched up with a tough division and a not-so-tough division. They play the AFC East and the NFC East and the AFC South for their schedule. Your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh's second year in Los Angeles with the Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a pretty good team on paper. Is it going to be this team or Denver that's going to overtake KC this year in the division? Could be one of the two, but I maybe lean with the team in the Mile High City a little bit more because of their defense. But we'll wait and see. They start off with 3 straight games in the division. I do see a little advantage probably taking that +3 if you can in that first game there. And it's in Brazil, unfortunately. It's not L.A., but I still think +3 is probably a pretty good bet there against the Chiefs. Chiefs coming off the Super Bowl hangover, and we'll see how it goes there. Offensive line, I got them ranked number 6.
Okay.
2 strong tackles, Slater and Alt. I'm a little concerned about their offensive weapons. It doesn't seem like they ever have great offensive weapons for this Herbert. McConkey did step up, but they got to find that second receiver. They drafted this running back out of North Carolina, Hampton, could have a pretty good year, and the wide receiver from Mississippi in the second round. What scares me about this team is the defense. Not that strong up front. They lost Joey Bosa, who, was hurt a lot, but when he played, pretty dominant. And old Khalil Mack, he's getting a little, late in his career there. So I'm scared that they might not be able. They're going to be strong up front on offense, running the ball. Can they stop the run on defense? Because their back end is pretty good, but schedule, like you said, looks pretty favorable. They're only underdog in 3 road games. But they're not real big favorites either. So, this team's going to play a lot of, close, I think low-scoring type, grinded out, Harbaugh type style. So, this team can go either way with this win total, and to take a shot with them to division, you like them or Denver. I kind of lean to Denver more. They do have a Week 12 bye, and then they go into the stretch run. But as of right now, no play except for, one play probably in that first game against the Chiefs.
Well, he wants to be a line of scrimmage team, and so that was kind of a given that he was going to take Alt with his first pick. And they are going to run the ball or something. They're going to be balanced at the least, for the, talking about the Chargers. But you mentioned the weapons or lack thereof, and it's not because they didn't invest it. I mean, both Quentin Johnston, who's kind of, you don't know if he's going to catch the ball, and Mike Williams is never healthy. He only had 20 catches last year. I mean, both of those guys are first-round picks. Right. I mean, and so, physically should have it, but, one guy can't stay on the field. One guy, you don't know if he's going to catch the ball.
Yeah, I don't think with the Chargers, listen, I told you from yesterday I'm a fan of the Chargers this season because of Harbaugh and because of what they did last year. Now, the playoff game, hey, Herbert stunk up the field on that one, and I think they all did. But it's not for lack of them trying to get him the personnel that he wants to be surrounded by. I'm sure Harbaugh would like a fast little jitterbug in a slot just to take some of that pressure off of him as well. But the bottom line in this thing is they want to run the football. Harbaugh wants to run the football. If they can run the football and Herbert can control himself and take what the defense gives him, don't try to force it, push it in them tight holes. He plays a lot on leaning on his arm. And to me, the downfall for him last year in some of those football games, including that playoff game, was when the running game was not efficient, when they weren't getting the 3 to 5 to 4 yards a pop, and now you have to rely on him, especially on first down. His first down completion, first down throwing the football when the running game isn't working, he tries to force it too much and don't understand that you have another down, right? And to me, and him being in his 6th year, we talked about, he played those situations closer to being a 2nd and 3rd year guy in the league. So he has to mature in those situational football. And it doesn't have to be at the end of the game in critical situations. Right. It could be at the beginning when it's 0-0 or whenever the game is tied or we just starting out. He just has to play the quarterback position better early.
Randy, you give a little bit of a pass to Herbert, or because of some things maybe that you hinted on as far as a lack of his weapons around him. We'll get to the guy from Ole Miss in just a little bit. We respect him around here, that's for sure. I mean, he had 130 yards a game last year when he was healthy. Trey Harris out of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go. But your thoughts on Herbert, where you or some of the things that Rohan's talking about, some of these situations, kind of these poor decisions at important times.
Yeah, I'm kind of willing to give him a little pass for that playoff game, and maybe it was an outlier. Maybe he was pushing a little bit too hard, and some bad. And he was going against probably one of the top defenses in the league too. We got to mention that in Houston, and he's going to go against some decent defenses in his division. But he's going to have Kansas City's, defense pretty strong, and Denver looks like one of the best. So he's going to definitely have to step it up this year, and if they're going to have plans to win that division.
You did mention that you think it's time. It's for somebody to unseat Kansas City in this division. What do you see in Kansas City's team that you think it's finally going to be done?
Well, they're coming off the Super Bowl, a lot of games, last 3 years, 3-year run all to the Super Bowl, and we've seen it, these Super Bowl hangover teams, everybody thought San Fran was going to be pretty good last year, and look at these came off the Super Bowl, and they're last in the division. A lot of injuries too, but this team could, you could just see the fatigue there, and can they do it one more time? Of course, we know they got a stable there, and Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league. But these teams are getting better now in the lower part of the division. So I don't think they're going to have the easy time that they've had in the last few years.
Rohan, the Chiefs did look tired in the game, huh?
The Chiefs looked like they didn't have anything to counter the athletic ability that was on the defensive side of the football. Yeah. That's what the Chiefs looked like to me. They didn't look like they. And then when you expected them to do what the Chiefs and Mahomes normally do, there's great play that comes out of nowhere, that the guy's running wide open, or the trickery. Like Philadelphia was able to rush with 4, which is rare, and to get pressure on Mahomes on every damn turn. So for me, with the Kansas City Chiefs is, how do you, and they've tried to in the offseason, address those issues with those guys and the pass rush ability and being able to block on the edges?
Right. Do you see Trey Harris emerging this year in his rookie season?
If he stays healthy, yes.
I think he can go, man.
If he stays healthy, absolutely. I thought he was a steal.
Taken in the second round.
Oh.
Big Dog, why are you so high on the Broncos this year? Look, I mean, as part of it, I thought that Nick's got great coaching, but I'm not sold at him being, like all that just yet. He looks like he's going to have a long career as a starter, but I just don't. They're certainly still got the kind of the handcuffs on him. He's more managing games than they're kind of asking him to carry the team.
Yeah, you got the strong offensive line, even stronger than the Chargers there. They're ranked probably 2 or 3 in my book, the Denver offensive line. That's been built up through free agency, and also probably top defense in the league as well. You got to look at that side of the ball, and player of the year in Surtain in the back end, and then a pretty strong front 4 and linebacker crew. So you got to look at the trenches there, and not so much. Hopefully, see some improvement out of Nix, but we'll have to wait and see. But he had a good rookie season.
Yeah, we were with his dad, Surtain's dad, at my dad's funeral, and I asked him, "How's your son like playing for Peyton?" He says, "Man, he holds him accountable. He coaches him." I mean, it's just that simple. So, yeah. I like that. And then they went another cornerback, in the first meeting. So you got them lockdown cornerbacks.
That's right.
I love that, man.
It's a passing lead.
Man, Peyton he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
He's
so
good,
we miss him down in New Orleans. We'll see about that. Randy, man, thank you so much. Next week we'll look at another team from a handicapper perspective. we'll be in touch. Thank you, brother. Always great stuff. We appreciate it. Follow Randy on Twitter at RR39.
They should have got rid of Mickey Loomis and kept
but that's been said on this show before, Rohan.
Peyton. Make Peyton the GM and the head coach. Get rid of Loomis. Goodness gracious.
Yes, we've heard that before. Don't forget our friends at Go Chevrolet. You know, when I was in the market for a new vehicle, I called my buddy Mr. Lee Carney, a hell of a basketball player in his time with those Bel Air teams who used to give Glen Oaks all they could handle. And so I special ordered through the website my Tahoe, and got everything, got the wheels, the engine, all the amenities that I wanted, but not anything more than I wanted. So you can do that as well from Go Chevrolet. Check out their new vehicles. We got a great selection of SUVs, crossovers, commercial trucks, trucks like the Colorado Silverado. We got all kinds of different models. Of course, the Suburbans are very popular. Tahoes, Traverses as well. Of course, the Corvettes, Malibus as well. We got electric cars as well. Go Chevrolet in the LaPlace area, and Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine. The Go Automotive Group. I don't want to just talk about the vehicles from Go Automotive, the great service and how they handle things. I drive a vehicle from Go Chevrolet and GoChevrolet.com. Live at lunch, live at Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up hour number one here on this Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, live at Modesto. Scott Rebele of The Advocate. Excuse me. Thank you. At noon to kick off hour number two, of course, our golf consensus picks. Wes Reynolds breaking it down. Max is with us here as well. He'll break down as well. One thing I'm hearing, Max, that the Scottish Open, not true link style golf.
No, it's
where this locale is.
It's a bit of a mix-up. It's a newer course. It was, I think, 2002 was when it originated, and it's not traditional links where you have to bump it as much and play it along the ground, and it's traditionally on the dunes. It plays a little different than normal.
So center finishes off Shelton in straight sets. So I'm plus 360, looking better right there. My Reneva did not, but he showed some favoring that right elbow wrist a little bit. Now, he shanked one that kind of caused a little vibration there, but he was worried about it a little bit. But again, Ben Shelton has to improve his return of serve and all of it. He's got the serve down, and with his athleticism, it's up to him. It's up to him. So, at this point, he's a one-trick pony, and so.
Yes.
Just the way it is.
Yeah, man. Got to evolve.
Center, not a ton of break point opportunities, just 2 of 5 on the break point opportunities in this one. So it was pretty level, but
Shelton had how many break point opportunities?
0 for 2.
2.
Not great.
3 sets, 7 break points.
Receiving points won, though, 36-16. So Shelton just not really winning much on the other side of serve.
Oh, wow. All right, hour number one in the books. Hour number two to come up. Again, Rabs and Wes Reynolds. This is Live at Lunch, live at Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Enjoying the finer things in life is his forte. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate.
He has been enjoying the finer things in life, I hope, on his time off. That's what he does when LSU's athletic season takes a break. Scott, how you doing today, buddy?
I usually go, come on, guys, really, but I was just on the Queen Mary 2 on vacation last week. So, I have to say. Hey, by the way, Jimmy, my first chance to say condolences about your father. I'm sorry for your loss.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It was Rohan made it down, and it was a hell of a tribute to a guy that impacted a lot of kids. And, man, I was still getting calls today from, Willie Brown's coaching in Mississippi. So many of his kids that he impacted followed in his steps. I mean, Patrick Surtain's coaching a secondary at Florida State right now. Nathaniel Jones coaching at Texas State. I mean, so many. So it was he lived a full life, and hey, man, it just like Rohan said, we heard stories and stories and stories and stories. Not one was about a score or a championship.
Right.
Everything was about impacting their lives. So
really
cool.
I think when people get into coaching and spend their career doing it for the right reasons, that's what you hear. You hear about the impacts on lives, not about the titles won or the games won. And it's like I experienced it as a sports writer. When you meet famous people want to know what kind of person are they, and are they a good guy or a bad guy? And that's basically what they want to know. Rohan Davey, they say Rohan Davey's a great guy. He's one of my favorites that I've ever covered at LSU. So that's what people remember, not the fact that he led them to help them win the SEC championship.
I know every year he goes down to see his old coach, and not just and go fishing and spend some time and hanging out and cooking and things like that. And so he said it sounded it rang a familiar bell. With at my dad's services. Now, Scott, don't try to mimic his motivational methods, okay? Because they're a little bit, no, you can't just go suit up, how old you are and go start hitting them, full speed, like you can, just so his methods, but he cared. How about this, Scott? He coached 35 years PE and coached. He also worked a full-time job with the New Orleans Recreational Department for 27 years. He missed 2 days to bury his father and the birth of my daughter. Now, I don't know why he couldn't take off for my birth, but anyway, that's my excuse if anything goes wrong. So, but yeah, hell of a man. Like I said, my hero, man, my hero. Right. Hey, so we got the participants in Media Day for LSU next week, and Nussmeier, Whit Weeks, and then Hilton and Chris Hilton, and Rohan was just kind of telling us some, we saw on the field sort of his adaptation, why are you so jump happy when the ball's coming, man? Jump when you have to. No, we saw the potential. We know about his speed. We know about he's top end before he hits 10 yards, on his speed. But a little bit, what does that say about Hilton going on the trip as well?
Interesting choice, because obviously Nussmeier, he's one of the stars of the SEC, without question. And then Whit Weeks is, they're gonna love Whit Weeks because he's such a great talker. He's gonna fill up the notebooks in Atlanta on Monday. But Hilton, I want to say, Jimmy, this smacks of something that's like kind of for what it is worth, a kind of a reward for Chris to say we consider you one of our prominent players, one of our team leaders. And for someone who came back when obviously it was not sure that he would come back for a senior season. So I think it's kind of all those things that, I hope he sees it as a reward to come and deal with a bunch of people like us on all day Monday in Atlanta. But it certainly speaks to how they respect him, because they're not going to bring someone who they think is going to totally botch it or say the wrong things or not represent the school well. So an interesting choice for sure. I expected Nussmeier and Weeks. I wouldn't have picked Chris Hilton to be the third guy to go, but interesting choice and maybe speaks well for what they expect of him and what they're hoping he will do this season.
And Rohan, you hinted on it, but you can go into more specifics right now. But I think it shows a little bit of leadership qualities as far as doing what he needs to do in the offseason, the things that are going wrong right now, the things those sessions that Nussmeier is pulling a little bit of a Joe Burrow and really, really working these guys pretty good. But to some of the specifics you talked about with Hilton,
I think Rob hit it right on the head. I think it's a bone for him from how he ended the season, but also to what he's done all the way through the offseason, including coming back to LSU, because I know there were suitors, guys were trying to pull him away from here. But I think, man, it's them letting him know that, hey, we've seen what you've done. We've seen collectively what you've done in the offseason, working out with us when we have, recruiting weekends going on over here, and you guys are on this side of the field with Coach. You guys are getting it in. I've seen him at the elite training facility on Burbank numerous times with all the receivers and Nuss and all those guys, and him putting in the work. I've seen him come in and doing the yoga and doing this and doing that. So I think it's him knowing that, showing the importance of, I want to be a leader on this team. I want to show where my progression, I've got my maturity. You talk about the jumping for regular balls that's at your stomach,
right.
and putting yourself in vulnerable positions. I think he showed, man, that the commitment to staying healthy and all the little intangible things that you want from these guys in the offseason, I think he's done it to the umpteenth power.
Scott, because, if he doesn't kind of break through at the tail end last year, he might be somewhere else at this time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, exactly. That's exactly right. Now, he's you call him a late bloomer, better late than never. He's a tremendous talent, and obviously he added that dimension to LSU's offense late last season with his vertical threat that they really needed, and you saw how it benefited them, especially like in the bowl game against Baylor. So an interesting choice and a good sign for LSU overall. It's not the most important thing, who you pick to go to media days. It's not the most important thing, but it's a good sign for his development, for his leadership, and for his commitment to this team this season.
Well, my experience going to media days, and they bring in these guys, and sort of the guys that sort of the unexpected ones that we don't know, and it could be from any team. When the season plays out, they usually have pretty good seasons.
Yep.
I could tell you that. The success rate of the ones they choose to go there are pretty. So we know he's got all the ability, but he just had to polish and develop his receiving skills. Route running, hands, dependability, and just getting out there and doing it where he is more settled in. As doing it as well. Scott, are you paying attention at all to the Big 12 Media Days in Frisco? They wrap up their 2-day session today. But a common theme, did you read Ross Dellinger's piece on? I
have not. I'm sorry.
Okay, basically to fill you in, we're waiting on this. This number, or we're all supposed to be at the same number. We're all supposed to be in this level playing field, but some of these teams are offering these players this kind of money. There's no way they could stay within this sort of budget or something like that. So the Wild Wild West, as they try and regulate it, this is college football, huh? Right. I mean, they're going to try and regulate college recruiting. You're still going to have some under-the-table stuff, I think.
Oh, sure, but it is a question now. It seems like the money is much greater than maybe what it was in years past. So, is it sustainable? Even for the biggest, most well-heeled programs, I don't know that it is. I think people are trying to get in what they can a little bit before. Maybe are they anticipating congressional regulation? Congressional input into what they can do. I don't know, but. Yeah, there's still going to be under the table stuff. There's still going to be cheating going on, but it's just there's so much money now we're talking about. I mean, did you see the ring Garrett Nussmeier bought for his girlfriend for when he got engaged?
He can afford it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he can afford it. Exactly. There's a lot of guys who can afford that these days. So I worry. I do worry that it's going to be just the haves and the have-nots. I don't like the idea that you hear some people at LSU and in college athletics say that you're eventually going to have an NFL-like model in college football with 30, 40, 60 teams, whatever the number is, that are just playing each other, kind of like the Premier League of college football. I don't like that. No, am I crazy about all the rent-a-wins against FCS teams? No, I'm not either. But I think there should be some balance in there, and we have an NFL. This is what I keep coming back to in my mind. We have an NFL, we have an NBA, we have Major League Baseball. Why do we need it on the college level? And I just think that all these things that we see are moving us more and more in that direction, to where LSU is going to have logos on the field and things on the jerseys this season. I'm old school, I guess, but I'm not thrilled about it.
Well, the boosters are worn out, And if they have to try and be creative and generate some of the budget that they need, because they're paying a football team and they're paying other players too now. You didn't have to pay them. That's a nice business model when you don't have to pay your players. Find me that one, okay? And they had that forever, and they still wasted so much money. So I'll tell you this. If you don't know all the other things that are happening with the college football, and you just watch the games, the sport is alive and well. Trust me.
Yeah.
Because they have accountability. Because you know what? If I'm not happy where I am and I'm playing at Marshall, man, if I bust it and perform, they're going to find me. And I'll be in Tennessee next year. I mean, if I go to Incarnate Word, okay, and my only offer, and if I go to Washington State, then I could get paid, $5 million a year to go play at Miami. Right. So, the sport is alive and well. And listen, do we still see the emotion in the stands? And so, when all that is bad with college football is alive and well in a lot of ways as well. Speaking of alive and well, 16 for 16 coaches are back in the SEC. There's no pressure in this league, Scott. Huh?
Isn't that something? That is something.
Who's the hottest seat or the hottest couple of seats?
Oh, that's a good question. I think certainly our guy at Arkansas. I think he's. I was surprised. It was 16 for 16. I'm surprised that he came back. Napier is. I think his seat has calmed down a little bit. Still an interesting season for him. If they totally go the other way, I think he could get fired. If they go like 4-8 this year, and he could get fired. But they certainly don't seem to be trending in that direction. And Brent Venables, I think, at Oklahoma. I think they're not. I was looking at Jimmy. You maybe saw the story when their athletic director Joe Castiglione announced his retirement. In his time there, they won all the national championships and conference championships that they won. We don't maybe always think of Oklahoma as being one of those national sports powers, but they think very highly of themselves. They expect championships, and obviously he hasn't delivered yet at Oklahoma. Although we were in a restaurant last time when we got home, and they were showing the replay of the Alabama-Oklahoma game. Alabama plays like dogs on the road against Oklahoma and Vandy, and they came in here and played like the Philadelphia Eagles against LSU in Tiger Stadium. But we'll see about that. But I think Venables, they've got to. I don't know. Do they have to make the playoff? I don't know. I'd be interested to talk to some guys who cover Oklahoma next week, like Barry Trammell and people like that. But how good do they have to do? But I think he's definitely one of the guys on the hottest seats. I would say those two.
Well, you talk about your teams that participated in the playoff last year, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, and then you have Alabama as well. They all have first-year starters. And then some other teams that have been struggling. But South Carolina, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Florida all do. Not leave LSU out because LSU is kind of, they are resource rich. Okay, they don't have the money of Texas, but they're still comfortably in the upper half as far as the resources and expectations, at LSU. But there's a chance to see with this experience at quarterback to be a little bit of parity in the league this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, with new guys in place. I mean, it's a huge luxury to have what LSU has in a Nussmeier, or you could even say what Vanderbilt has in Diego Papia. I mean, I'm looking at the list of quarterbacks who are coming. DJ Lagway, semi-starter last year. Gunnar Stockton, semi-starter for Georgia. DJ Lagway, Florida, of course. And then some of these other. A few other quarterbacks. I'm like, these are new names. John Mateer, not a big star for Oklahoma, and of course they're bringing Arch Manning to Texas. It's going to be one of the more interesting media days, obviously, when he comes. Hey, speaking of that, Jimmy, did you see what Steve Spurrier said on Pat Dooley's show recently about Arch Manning?
Yeah. He's still sticking it to the Mannings.
Yeah,
he's my right hand man. Okay, I wanted to ask Charlie. I've been out. Okay, I said, you respect Spurrier? I say the same damn things. You call me a hater. Okay, right. I mean, Spurrier's been giving it to the Mannings for how many years, huh, Scott?
Oh man.
Yes, I did. It says I think he's going to be fine. I think that whole role was odd to say the least. Now he's a big old dude. Okay. But he's not a Tim Tebow type of athlete, and his arm is way better. So that whole running specialist thing was weird last year. Max?
Yeah, Scott, one more thing. The football team added an assistant general manager out of Ole Miss. Kelvin Bolden comes in. This is now, your colleague Wilson Alexander pointed out, this is the fourth Ole Miss member of personnel that's come since January 2024 to LSU. So do you know anything about Kelvin Bolden, and what do you make of LSU just kind of poaching some of these Ole Miss personnel coaches?
Well, I assume that there's a tie with Austin Thomas and Bolden.
Yes.
This is something Austin Thomas wanted to see happen. So Brian Kelly's like, sure, it's very interesting. I mean, it's like you're talking about, as Jimmy was just talking about resources. I don't know anything of it, but I mean, the fact that as you pointed out, Max, they brought so many guys lately from there in these front office roles, let's call them, is interesting. I mean, are people starting to see? Especially after last season, when Ole Miss tried to build a team very similar to what LSU has built this year, and obviously we have to see how LSU does. But they had an assemblage of talent but it wasn't a great team. It was a great collection of talent. It wasn't a great team, and maybe people are starting like this guy Bolden, and certainly Austin Thomas, are seeing that. Well, maybe they're starting to think that that Lane Kiffin has hit a ceiling with that program, and that LSU has more upside. It's very interesting to me that you've had such a pipeline of late with these kind of people that I don't know anything about Bolden. Maybe Lane Kiffin was happy to let him go. I don't know, but if Austin Thomas, with the respect I have for Austin Thomas and the job he does, I assume he wanted him, and if he wanted him, then I think it's probably a guy who's an asset to LSU and a detriment to Ole Miss.
Well, that's a little respect for how they compiled that roster over at Ole Miss as well, because Ole Miss had a better roster than LSU last year, and that should never happen. They ain't won anything since Johnny Vaught, and LSU's last three coaches won national championships. I mean, come on. So right. Is it the head coach exciting, working the boosters to get them where their collective was, whatever it was, Ole Miss should never have a better roster than LSU. And they did last year. They did. Right. They came. Ain't many. And I do. I wonder if that's that 1 year they had it all kind of together. It kind of had their chance, and they blew it. They laid an egg against Kentucky and Florida. Okay, and they left on the field at LSU as well. But I'm just wondering the sustainability of that roster in Oxford. And I think
exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yes, the sustainability of it.
Scott, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll be talking to you next week in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. So Charlie will be back. We'll be at full strength. Safe travels to the ATL.
Thanks, guys. Good to hear you, Ruff. Take care.
Good. You too, partner.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Workbox. Workbox movable storage needs, commercial, residential, shipping containers. Makes it so much easier, so much more convenient than to bring in that moving van. You got it for a day. You got to do everything quickly. You can kind of go at your own pace a little bit so you don't get burnt out on the moving. Moving's not easy. No, indeed. Custom storage containers, all different shapes and sizes, but not just moving. We can do it for any type of use. We got any type of size from 8 by 8 feet all the way to 8 by 40 feet for any size job. So customize it anyway to lunchrooms, work sites. You need safety storage near the plant. No problem. Custom part office, part storage, climate control, shelving, lighting, you name it. Our great team over at Workbox, Martine Sr., Martine Jr., Hannah, Brandy, and Chris Brooks, and now the second office of Workbox that we could cover all the way to the Gulf Coast, through New Orleans and Baton Rouge to Lake Charles as well, serving all of these areas and everywhere in between. Workbox and WorkboxLLC.com, 343-4886. Wes Reynolds of VSiN with his golf picks when we return. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, live at lunch, live at Modesto.
From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
All right, time to talk some golf. Scottish Open with Wes Reynolds, Jimmy Ott, former LSU quarterback Rohan Davey, Max Gotro, Charlie with a well-deserved vacation. Wes, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well, Jimmy. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Let's get right to it, man. The Scottish Open. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, over here at Renaissance Golf Club, week before the Open Championship, final major of the year. So really good field, by the way, this week. You got 8 of the top 10 ranked players in the world electing to go ahead and play and not do their own prep on their own time. So Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, obviously at the top of the board as they usually are, but I'm not necessarily going with them this week. Just going a little bit down the board, and I kind of swore off this guy, and I think a lot of bettors swore off this guy after what happened 3 weeks ago, but I'm going back to Tommy Fleetwood at 22-1. I know he has not yet won on the PGA Tour. He has not yet won in the United States of America, but he can kill two birds, or at least one bird with one stone here, and win a PGA Tour event, not necessarily in the States. Tommy Fleetwood has gone well on this course before. He was runner-up back in 2020, fourth in 2022, sixth in 2023. So Tommy Fleetwood, 22-1. And then two players, I tie them together because it involves a caddy. Colin Morikawa's new caddy is one Billy Foster. And Colin Morikawa, by the way, at 25-1. And Billy Foster is on his bag this week. He's still kind of searching for the full-time caddy after he split with his guy earlier this year. Billy Foster, by the way, the former caddy for one Matt Fitzpatrick. They split at the Players' Championship earlier this year. Matt Fitzpatrick, 45-1. He's showing some life here. He's got a couple top tens over the last month and a half. Only had two the entire season in 2024. So Matt Fitzpatrick is a guy I like this week, and I also like him next week for Royal Portrush. Rounding out the card, Adam Scott, 55-1, who was kind of the unlucky loser here to Robert McIntyre, but has played very well lately. He was T12 at the U.S. Open. Remember, he was in the final group, actually, at Oakmont on Sunday before that weather and those conditions kind of got him late. Rasmus Højgaard, 80-1, bomber off the tee, and look, you can pretty much hit it everywhere off the tee here. Very wide fairways, link-style golf, so Rasmus Højgaard, 80-1, Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson at 90-1, so two Rasmuses, the price of one, both Danish players. Very good links player, with fourth at the Dunhill Links last year. He's a guy that plays primarily on the DP World Tour because it's half and half. It's PGA Tour and DP World Tour this week. And then Laurie Cantor is my bomb, 175-1. Number one in strokes gained off the tee on the DP World Tour. Think that he can go well this week. All right.
The Open again next week, so we will have that of course. What I know you're Indiana Fever, so you're watching them a lot. But WNBA, MLB, what else are you betting right now?
Yeah, look, it's a pretty slim pickings here in the middle of July from a betting standpoint. But baseball, watching the Fever right now down at home in Caitlin Clark's return against Golden State. So seeing if they could rally here. They just look painfully slow against this Golden State team on both sides of the ball. But doing some football prep, of course, get ready for the season. Now we start to get the Jones going, right? Both for college and NFL, where we want the football back, and doing some of that prep and looking forward to get the season started. But yeah, not a lot, man. Once the Open happens, then you kind of round down the regular golf season. You still have Ryder Cup later in the year, but then it's kind of like, okay, now it really dies down and we're focused on the gridiron.
What did you think of the? I forgot the Fever was playing this matinee. What is the deal with? Do you like that where they kind of stagger these games midweeks or these midday games in WNBA?
I do, and it's a kids' day thing, and all the teams do that because we had actually an early tip-off in Connecticut where they upset Seattle, by the way. Connecticut was a 17.5-point underdog. They've been the worst team in the WNBA, and they win by double digits against Seattle. Go figure. But I like these day games. It's a kids' day. It's for the campers, when you have basketball camps, and they, a lot of group sales. I used to be in sales in basketball and professional sports, so that's what you do. These are big group days for those guys.
And we had a couple of, about the walk-off 3-run inside the park home run in San Francisco last night. The veteran hometown broadcasters for San Francisco do a wonderful job. We're pretty funny on that. But Toronto wins again. That streak is still going. The Dodgers lose again. Now they get one of their guys back. They're waiting on Snell. Glass now is back this afternoon for the pitch for 110. But the young stud for Milwaukee with 12 strikeouts last night. So the Dodgers getting swept at home by the Astros, and they're doing it again. And then also the Mets stole one last night, down 6-2. A couple of 2-run shots by Lindor and then Pete Alonso, and they win it in extra innings. Do you like to ride the streaks or try and find some when the lines are inflated and go with some value to break the streaks?
Yeah, and I'm more on the maybe ride the streak. Sometimes you don't want to be too late for the party and be early for the funeral, so to speak. But the only thing is, if you try to beat these streaks, you can be wrong more times. Like, if a streak ends and you bet on a team, you're only wrong one time. But if you are stubborn, and I've been guilty of this in the past as a bettor, if you're stubborn and try to go against these streaks, you can be wrong on multiple occasions. So that's one of the pitfalls I think you want to avoid as a bettor. Just either, ride it or don't get involved altogether.
Hey, tell us about the local product here in Angel Reese. She is just killing these rebounding and kind of. She's putting up some numbers, and so she's on a roll right now. My God, 15, 17, 16, 18, 17, 19. That's the last 6 games. Player props on Max with the Angel Reese with the over rebounds. But what give us I know you pay attention to the league a little bit more than us, but your thoughts on Angel Reese and this run she's on.
Well, I got to give her some credit because I think she's playing better. And I think she's getting better. And, we need to let her progress a little bit because if you watched her, especially in her rookie season last year and early on this season, she tries to score around the rim with just like brute force, right? She's trying to take it over 2 or 3 defenders. And now she's making smarter decisions. She knows she's going to get doubled because she's such a force on the glass and at the rim. So you got to pass out of those double teams. And she's been able to do that, and she's taking better shots. She's improving her ball skills a little bit, where it's not just, okay, I get the ball and you take these awkward shots. Mix in a little ball fake, mix in a little shot fake here. Because, and I think you're seeing that in her numbers where she's shooting better, where she's becoming a more consistent scorer. She's getting to the line. I think she was like 12 of 15 at the line in that close loss to the Mystics yesterday. So, that's what you want to see. You want to see some player development. And I think, maybe her being without Cardoso, who was the good center for South Carolina on their championship team a couple years ago, has opened it up, I think, a little bit more for her. And she's starting to, I think, really figure it out.
Her last 6 games, 18 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists a game, and one on just under 2 steals as well. So, she's feeling the box score.
Well, she was a point guard. She was a point guard in high school. At her early going, she was a point guard. So her decision-making and everything, I think it just got taken away a little bit. But the biggest thing to me that she's doing better, I'm an Angel Reese fan. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing to me that she's doing better is she's reading the defense a lot better, and she's slowed down. And now instead of going up off of 1 foot when she's in the paint, she's slowing down kind of. She's going up off of 2 now and making those nice, easier layups.
Like you said, Wes, maybe developing.
Yeah.
So, she's not going to be – she's going to have some limitations with her offensive skills, but still, if you work on them, hey, it's putting that time in the off season. We'll see, but we know she's gonna get those boards. She's gonna
get them boards.
She's gonna get those boards. Yeah. Wes, follow Wes on Twitter at WesReynolds1. Wes, thank you, buddy. Good luck to you this week at the Genesis. Looking forward to you breaking down the Open next week.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. Wes Reynolds from VEASAN with his picks. Max is up next in just a second with his picks. Before we do that, we remind everybody that we're brought to you by our friends over at Jeez, I'm skipping over here now. Let's take a time out. Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown is bringing our consensus picks when we come back. We 1 set apiece on serve, 3-4 Djokovic serving in the 3rd set. The right to play Jannik Sinner in the semifinal on Friday at Wimbledon. Live at lunch, live at Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. Your home improvement specialist. You say, what do I know about doing home improvements, man? I'm no carpenter. I'm not good at any of that stuff. Well, let the experts at the Thibodeau Store show you how easy it is to save on some of these smaller projects that you can do, that they can walk you through step by step. You won't be wasting time and money. You won't be wasting money on materials you don't need or on procedures that don't work. So let the Thibodeau Store help you out there. Ask their experts to tell you exactly what course to proceed on. Hand tools, power tools, plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, and also specialty items at the Thibodeau Store. Tons of grills, including the Big Green Egg cookers, Cypress furniture, lots of fishing equipment, crawfish, and jambalaya pots. The sister property, the Pierre Part Store in Pierre Part, just celebrated their 113th year anniversary. So check them out. And online where delivery is free at ThibodeauStore.com.
Wednesday Consensus Golf Picks are brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
Max, we got to get up early. Start they'll be starting 2 or 3
1 o'clock local time.
1 a.m. 1 a.m. Central. All right, let's get to it because not as much links, but a lot of the players can get acclimated to the time zone for sure.
Yeah, that and the turf. The turf is different. It's similar to what you'll see at the Open. So there's some similarities. It's not totally the same. One thing you'll certainly have to monitor both here and at the Open Championship is the wind and the weather. And that's not going to be a big issue this week. So I do think that kind of expands the field. Tomorrow we'll see a little bit of wind, especially earlier on in the day, but it's going to really die down the rest of the week. So scoring conditions will be a little bit more favorable from rounds 2 to 4. So Robert McIntyre, the defending champion, he's a Scottish player. He's always played well here. It's a big event for him. I mean, it basically treats it like a major the way he gets the crowd going. Rory's won here before. All these guys that have won here, tremendous iron players, long iron players, and that's what I'm looking for this week. And I'm going to start off my card
so
with the guys.
Before you do that, that's what who Jeff has this week. He's got McIntyre, Fitzpatrick, and Fox. So, McIntyre was definitely one that he's
defending champ makes a ton of sense. He's got a great track record here, so he's 30-1. I get that one, but I'm going to start with another guy at 30-1 in Ludwig Oberg, who's had a bit of a slow season this year. Did win at Torrey Pines. That was an elevated event. But otherwise, it's been a little bit underwhelming for him. But he's gained on off the tee and approach in his last 4 starts. He's a longer hitter, which is favorable at this golf course. Longer hitters tend to perform well here. And last year, he was very much in the mix at the Scottish Open. He opened with rounds of 64, 64, 65. He was a favorite going into that final round and shot a 73 in the final round. Very odd. That's when he's got not a great track record on Sundays. That's when it was kind of bubbling to the surface. I believe I bet him last year at this event, and it was very disappointing in his Sunday finish. But ultimately, I think he's playing well enough, and he's one of the better long iron players on tour. So Ludwig Oberg, 30-1, starts off my card. Another guy who I'm going with who's just in great form right now, and that's our local guy, Sam Burns. I'm going to bet him without Scotty Scheffler because we have a good number on this one. Sometimes the markets, they don't adjust, so Burns was probably a favorable pick this week. A lot of guys maybe came on him at 45-1, brought him down to 40-1, but sometimes they fail to adjust these without Scheffler markets. So he's 35-1 without Scheffler. I think taking him out, that makes a ton of sense. Burns, though, has played well in links. His one time he really contended before this season in a major was last year at the Open Championship. Now he really struggled as well on Sunday. He put up a final round 80 at the Open, but otherwise that had been the only real time he'd been in contention at majors. But his last 5 starts, he's got 5 top 20 finishes. We know about his close finish at the U.S. Open. Of course, we had him as a consensus pick in the Canadian Open when he finished runner-up in that playoff, but followed it up as well with a 17th place finish at the Traveler. So hitting the ball really, really well. He's a higher spin player, which worries me a lot of times in this wind, but with the wind being down this week, I don't think this is much of a factor. So I'm going to just play the form of Sam Burns without Scheffler at 35-1. Victor Hovland is 40-1, another great iron player, maybe the best iron player on the PGA Tour right now in terms of, 175 to 200 yards, which you see a lot of these buckets. They're longer irons that you have to hit into these greens. The way the holes are designed, you have to lay up a little bit off the tee, and things like that. So par threes, there are 5 par threes on this golf course. So it makes a ton of sense. Hovland 40-1, just starting around in the form to me, and can hit the ball plenty far enough. He's not the longest hitter on tour by any means, but a long enough driver, so I like him at this number as well. And then some long shots here, just got some chances. I feel like the Scottish, it just favors a little bit of longer shots this week, and I just had room for a few of them. So Jake Knapp, 110-1, another guy who has a lot of higher spin rate, but with the wind being down, doesn't concern me a ton. Hits the ball lower, hasn't played really in links in the past, but is coming off of a fourth-place finish at the Rocket Classic, and then last week the John Deere, respectable 21st-place finish, and hits it plenty far enough. So that fits the mold for me. Kevin Yu, arguably the best long iron player in this field right now. When you look at his buckets over the last 36 rounds, struggles a lot with the putter. That's the real concern, but he's starting to find some form with the flat stick. In his last 3 events, he's finished in the top 25 in all 3, including a third-place finish at the Canadian Open. So Kevin Yu, 110-1 if you can find a hot putter. Nicholas Norgard Muller, you'll probably just see him as Nicholas Norgard in the sports books, but he's a player who's overseas, has done well on coastal courses for whatever reason this year, but this is his first year on the PGA Tours. Kind of struggled a little bit, but did finish 5th place at the Myrtle Beach Classic, and a long hitter as well. Finished 15th at this event last season. And finally, Jacob Bridgman, 150-1. Just a great putter. I think he can maybe pop off this week if he makes enough putts. He's been playing pretty well as of late. 5th place last week at the John Deere. Hasn't played in link style. So Jacob Bridgman, 150-1. Just another long shot to throw in the mix.
All right, so our consensus picks is it's Fitzpatrick, and we kind of have a semi. So we have top 20 and then an outright with Knapp. So Knapp and Fitzpatrick, the 2 consensus picks for the Genesis. 1 a.m. local time tomorrow morning. They will get going tomorrow. It's brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Everything from traffic tickets to wrongful death, DWIs, traffic offenses, again, criminal defense litigation, personal injury, power of attorney, you name it, we can handle it for you at the law offices of O.C. Brown. And when I got hit and my car was totaled, and, man, every step, they set up the doctor's appointment, set up the chiropractor appointment, dealt with the insurance company, didn't have to do any of that myself. So many things that you got to go through and do it, and Dana's team of attorneys can handle all of that for you. I speak firsthand about that. Law offices of O.C. Brown, Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com. We remind everybody also about our friends at the Thibodaux store down in Thibodaux, and hey, it's real simple. I mean, you outdoor cook, bro, you got to go by here and check out this. I mean, the burners, you want a single, double, triple outdoor burners to do your outdoor cooking. I mean, the big pots to do jambalayas and gumbos and pastalayas and stuff like that. Any type of on-site cooking, which you have. Pots to boil seafood or other things. Fryers for the turkeys, airless fryers, and the traditional ones as well. Every gadget, and tongs to nets to spoons to whatever you need for your outdoor. It's your outdoor kitchen at home or your on-site tailgate cooking or any type of festival cooking as well. It is a little slice of heaven for all your outdoor cooking needs at the Thibodaux store and the Pierre Part store. We'll come back and wrap things up live at Modesto, live at lunch at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up the Wednesday edition here at Live at Lunch. Ro, I got a kick out of you, but you didn't realize all 16 coaches in the SEC survived, huh?
No.
I mean, that is crazy.
That's the most mind-blowing stat I've heard all week.
We were doing, remember the shows we were doing at Beau Rivage, and we're like, man, Billy Napier, and he did some things that you do criticize, okay? And in Florida, you got to get it going. But, man, that's not a given what to have the record that they had, so the start of the season, and to not lose that locker room and not give up.
That's
and how
big,
much
man.
a little bit is that Lagway too?
A lot.
Being a young leader, or can he do that even at that?
Yeah, I think so, because you saw how the team responded to him.
There's no question.
So he had the pulse of the team. But I think it was real impressive what happened with Napier, man. For you to be going through all that BS and not lose your locker room and still have guys fighting and playing the way they have late in the games, into the fourth quarter, beginning the games, I thought it was very impressive for him. And it showed that he had the pulse of the team to an extent. They just weren't winning games.
Did you think that was a one-year deal, kind of a run where they had things kind of lined up and then it kind of Ole Miss falls back to the pack with their roster?
I think based on what they're going to do with their quarterback situation there, with the guy that's going to come in for Dart, I just think that Ole Miss was all in last year with the roster.
It was set up.
Yeah. And you saw them go all in with it. And that loss here to LSU, I think it just started that snowball effect going downhill. I think they come back to reality.
What about that goofy, in the Florida game where he just kept bringing in Pegues and the big. I understand you move a pile sometimes, but it was like 5 times on Florida. It was everybody. It was very predictable, and they got stopped a couple of times on it. Was big parts of that Florida game.
Sometimes, egos and coaches are trying to be this mad scientist of a thing that they try to do. Sometimes you outplay yourself and outthink yourself, in those situations, because that was ridiculous.
You like Sellers in South Carolina?
I do.
Well, he's a big old. He can.
I think if
he made some real strides in developing as a passer. Because early in the year, they're a 2-point conversion away from tying up Alabama. He throws it in the stands. Like, wait, come on, man. It doesn't matter if you throw an interception.
That's
man.
right.
You can't throw it in the stands.
Look for him to be much improved in the passing game, man. We saw him take strides, like you pointed out last year. But I look for him to just have a better grasp, a command of the offense. Because even throwing that ball away, what you saw from knowing is that he just did not understand the situation and what was going on at that time. So for him to have just a better grasp of the offense, it makes you play better.
Is Texas going to have the best roster in the league?
They will. I think so. Just seeing them from last year, now you throw in Arch in there. The running back position, to me, they were already loaded there. That from an athlete position on the outside, the secondary, you see the fronts with the linebackers. Yeah, they're loaded.
Tomorrow we are right a couple of steps away here from Modesto at the original Walk-Ons, and we have all of our guests and also Paul Stone live from the Big 12 Media Days. Wes Reynolds, Scott Rabelais, Randy McKay, and, of course, Jordan Kitchens pushing all the buttons back in the studio. From Mexico to Rohan Davey, I'm Jimmy Ott. It's been live at lunch, live from Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.